Welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith, going over this main slate at DraftKings for the MLB, hopefully to help you win. If anything we do here does help you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also consider joining our Patreon. Just $5.99 to get our picks and stacks for MLB every single day, as well as our NBA core plays and everything else that we cover, UFL, MMA, whatever else we have, just $5.99 for the entire month, plus access to our Discord. So definitely do not miss out on that. The way we do this, we go game by game, looking at the pitchers and the stacks, trying to decide which ones we want. And right away here, we have the possibly one of the more fun games of the night, depending on how you look at it. We have Dodgers and the Cubs. Matthew Boyd taking on LA. This game was a firestorm yesterday with 21 total runs. Not sure we can expect that this time. And then Noah Davis opens for a bullpen game against the Cubs. So the wind is blowing in. Obviously, these offenses are totally capable. Which way are you leaning here?
It's not really blowing in a lot. It's like 5 miles an hour, a little bit in from right to left. So I'm not really as on this as I was last night, but I still think the Dodgers obviously are a good stack. Not going to be super owned against Matt Boyd. So, the usual suspects. The righties are preferred typically. But Ohtani, lefty. Boyd has a bit of a reverse split. It's not like super pronounced, but I'm still fine with Ohtani or Freeman in full stacks. Really on the Cubs, the Dodger bullpen is a good one. Generally, bullpen games I don't like to pick on anyway. And then I think Boyd is like an okay SP2 at 8K flat. Not dying to play him against the Dodgers. There are far better pitching options on this slate, but a little dusting of him is okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to be very interested in Boyd. You can always fire up the Dodgers, and I agree. I mean, the Cubs are good, so you can play the Cubs if you want to. I just think picking on bullpen games not really a lot of fun because they're facing a lot of different guys, and it's tough to get acclimated. So not into Cubs personally. Dodgers is pretty much all I want from that game, and I'm not even really that excited to get there. Bryce Wilson taking on the Twins in Minnesota, and the White Sox on the other side with David Festa going up against them. So Festa, just by default, is going to look pretty good here. Third best projection of the slate. He's going to be a little bit owned, so I guess you can consider some Chicago stacks for leverage, but they look bad. 26.6% collective whiff rate. Do not have a lot of power. This is a good park for hitting. So again, due to the leverage and the park factor, if you want to fire up some White Sox, I don't have a problem with that. On the other side, the Twins project for 5.2, 5.38. That's their implied run total. Bryce Wilson's not a guy we're to be afraid of, really. Has major issues against lefties last year, 10% walk rate, 18% K rate, gave up a lot of power. So I like the Twins when they face righties. I like the Twins tonight.
I don't. Especially if they're going to be chalky. Like, it's just a bad offense. They platoon. They'll sub guys out, pinch hitting and stuff. Guys like Julian are not very likely to stay in the game the whole time. So given that and their likely ownership, I don't really see the need to play them. They're better against the target. It's really not a good offense at all. I think the White Sox are decent leverage on Festa, just they're cheap. They do have some capable hitters at the top of the order. So like a mini value stack of Robert Benintendi, Vargas, Andrew Vaughn, Ed Carroll. It's high in the lineup is a decent prospect catching. So I think Festa's fine as an SP2. 8,800 is a little bit pricey, but it is a good matchup. I'll probably be playing both sides of that a little bit, but the White Sox I prefer 2 wins.
All righty. Yeah, Festa 8-8. That's a tough pill to swallow. We have the Astros and the Jays taking on each other in Houston. Bowden Francis taking on Houston. As we've said ad nauseum, the Astros are not as scary as they used to be. Don't have the same power, and they strike out a little bit more. So you certainly can play Francis if you want to. He's coming in at 7.8K. It feels a little bit rich anyways, but not really excited to go play him, but you certainly can if you want to. And then the Jays are taking on Ryan Gusto, who has not looked great so far. Never really excited to play the Jays, but I guess you could do that tonight if you want to.
Yeah, I think Toronto's okay. Gusto seems like he might be kind of good. And Toronto lineup is not amazing once you get past the first few hitters, but low ownership, decent park for righty power with the Crawford boxes there and left. So like the top 3 of the top 4 are like Springer, Guerrero, Bichette. good right power bats. Santander from the left side. Never mind getting to him in a stack. Bowden Francis is like an ace against righties, and Houston again is a super righty heavy lineup. So Yordan Alvarez, I think, is an awesome one-off, maybe the best one-off play on the entire slate, but not a ton of strikeout upside for Francis overall, especially in this matchup. So I'm not really getting to the pitching on either side. Prefer the Toronto stack and then Alvarez by himself. Not really on a Houston stack though.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. All right, Rockies visiting the Royals. This is a pitcher-friendly park. Henry Marquez taking on the Royals. Normally I would say Godspeed here, but the park helps them out a little bit. And the KC just has not been good. So they are a good, talented offense. They don't strike out that much. So I think you can stack them up here. I think they have a pretty good implied run total here. Yeah, 4.97, but that's like every day, and they never get it done. That said, they do look like a good stack, especially relative to the slate. Don't have a problem with them. Michael Lorenzen is just a very meh pitcher, not carrying a lot of ownership, though. So at 7-3 in a pitcher-friendly park against the bad Rockies offense, I actually have some interest there.
Yeah, I don't really remember the last time I played Michael Lorenzen, especially into ownership, but I feel like it's warranted
He's not that
on
owned.
this slate. I see him around 25%. So that's fairly high for Michael Lorenzen. But he's cheap. He's facing the Rockies, who are striking out 31% of the time against righties this season. So if there's a spot for Michael Lorenzen, it is this one at home against Colorado. I'm going back to the well with Kansas City reluctantly. They're just good hitters. They should not be trash forever. Herman Marquez has had major control issues. Strikeouts have come back following injury, giving up a lot of power also this season. He had a complete meltdown in his last start, didn't even make it through the first inning. The Royals are not the Dodgers, but still, it should be a decent lineup. They're decently cheap overall, again, once you get past Witt. Like India's 3,600. Michael Garcia, once again, the only other one priced over 4K beyond Sal Perez. So I'm doing it again. Colorado's bullpen's horrible also behind Marquez. So it'll probably burn me, but Kansas City is on the short list again.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, in theory, they look really good. So we'll see what happens. Certainly they should be in your stack pool.
Yeah, I think you can also get to Colorado here. Just like Lorenzen is bad. Like not bad because I'm going to play him a little bit, but really not a good pitcher. Not someone who's going to overpower you with strikeouts. He's had issues limiting power in the past. So this season he's getting more ground balls than usual. Don't know if that's sustainable. Colorado's just a cheap stat. It's a bad offense. Like McMahon is decently cheap. Mickey Moniak under 3K. Hunter Goodman, pretty good power hitting catcher. So I'm okay with Colorado, even though it sounds miserable.
It surely is miserable, but I was kind of going off of Lorenzen at 17% ownership. If he's gonna be closer to what you were saying, 25, my interest in the Rockies peaks considerably. Still not, nothing changes. The Rockies are not good. They're not at Coors Field. They're in a pitcher-friendly park, and Lorenzen is cheap. So certainly Lorenzen still looks pretty decent relative to the slate. But Rockies have a little bit of power, so. I'm going to fire up some Rockies more so than I was going to before we started talking about it. All right, Pirates visiting the Halos. Andrew Heaney taking on LA. Heaney's been pretty good on the year. This is actually a spot I think I'm going to target him, though. I think the Halos just have a ton of righty power, 174 collective ISO. There are strikeouts there, so if you want to play Heaney, you certainly can. What's his price here? 8.1K. I think that's okay. You're not getting any leverage here, at least from what I can tell. I just think the Halos look good. And then you have Jack. That name's a nightmare. I'm not even gonna try. Whatever. He's taking on the Pirates, who slapped the Halos around yesterday. He does not miss bats. That's a bit of a problem. 6.8% K rate this year against righties. Good Lord. So it's a park upgrade for the Pirates. I don't know if I really trust in the Pirates going off 2 days in a row, but if you want to play Pittsburgh, I think they'll look okay. But in this game, it's mostly Halos for me.
Yeah, I'm not getting to Heaney. He has been very good, but the Angels profile pretty well against lefties, even if they haven't really hit for a lot of power this season at all. So, Rengifo, if he's in the lineup, Trout, Zach Neto's back. So that kind of makes their lineup a little bit deeper overall. Ohapi and then Ward, Joe Adell also. They have pretty good hitters. So Not going to be a super owned stack. I don't think Heaney's going to be chalk on this slate either, like he was last time. So not a ton of leverage with the Angels, but I just think it's straight up a pretty good stack.
Yep.
And then Pittsburgh against Kahanowitz, like he doesn't miss bats at all, like you said. He does have a very good ground ball rate, which is really how he survives. So like we said yesterday, Pittsburgh does hit the ball on the ground a good amount, but guys like O'Neill Cruz, Joey Bart, Ke'Bryan Hayes, and Manuel Valdez have decent fly ball rates. So Cruz in particular looks like an awesome play in this matchup against a guy who's not going to strike him out. But it's hard to get too excited about a full Pirate stack beyond that. I think they're fine, but Cruz is kind of like Yordan Alvarez, just someone I like to play by himself on this slate.
Yeah, good call. Totally fair. All right, we got the Rays visiting the Diamondbacks. Taj Bradley taking on Arizona. Taj Bradley is a good real-life pitcher, decent K rate. Not really the offense you want to use him against. 210 collective ISO they have against righties. They do not strike out a lot, and they are at home. You've mentioned it before. This park is not as friendly to hitters as it has been in the past, but still, like this just feels like what's his ownership at right now? Taj is not owned, at least from what I can tell. I'm going to actually refresh that as we go. Okay, so there's no real leverage here. I think Arizona, like they grade out pretty well. It's just Taj is a good pitcher, so I don't really want to go out of my way to pick on him. It's just you could get Arizona at home at no ownership, so that's interesting. Eduardo Rodriguez takes on the Rays. He would end up looking pretty good here. The Rays obviously are capable, but not really scary. And he comes in with the third best projection of the slate, going to have a little bit of ownership. So I suppose you could look at Rays for leverage. I just kind of I think I'm on the Erod side here. And honestly, overall in the game, it's pretty much just Erod. Like I don't have a ton of interest in Arizona, but I think they do grade out decently.
Yeah, mainly on the pitching here. I think Erod is maybe not a core play, but he's pretty close to a core play. 9K strikeouts have been way up. The Rays will strike out a lot beyond guys like Yandy Diaz and Caminero who don't. But the rest of the lineup is full of them. Morel, Mead, Aranda, if he's in there. Danny Jansen will strike out. So Erod is one of the better plays on the slate. I think Bradley's okay at a slight discount. Like there is strikeout upside with him, but Arizona is a decent enough offense with a lot of power. So not thrilled about it. I think you can play the Rays against Erod. The righties I mentioned, Diaz, Caminero, even Jansen as a decent power hitting catcher, but not super excited. I'm much more on the Erod side of it.
Yeah, 200 ISO to the right side of the plate last 2 years now, or this year and last year. So certainly can give up power, that is for sure. But he does look good, and it's not really that good of a pitching slate, so it is what it is. Brewers ransacked the Giants in San Francisco yesterday. Once again, I just am not a big believer of middling offenses going off, but in back-to-back days. In the name of the Cincinnati Reds, who had 24 and then did nothing the next day, I just don't really think the Brewers are going to do anything here. And that's compounded by the fact they're facing Logan Webb, who has the best projection on the board and is a pretty darn good real-life pitcher. Naturally, I like Logan Webb here. And then Freddie Peralta on the other side against the Giants. The Giants are a good lineup. There are a couple strikeouts here, though. And Freddie Peralta is the second best pitcher on the board. So it just feels like Pitcher Park, like decent offenses. But, I just think that it's all about the pitching here. So Freddie and Logan look pretty darn good.
Yeah, Webb's the SP1, Freddie's the SP2, and that's it. I'm not playing the bats in this game. I understand they're going to be owned, but two good pitchers in a good pitcher's park, not for me.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's still a case to be made for gaining some leverage here. I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to do it with the Giants, but I will say if Webb is really going to be 50% owned, as we say every time somebody's 50% owned, you damn better sure get some action on the other side of that because it almost always goes haywire. Not to say it will, but it very, very often does. So I do think the Brewers as a leverage stack, just a tiny bit, are worth going after. But there's a game here that still exists that looks really damn good for offense. Kumar Rocker did have a really good game in his last outing, but he does have to contend with the Athletics with their 173 ISO in a hitter's park. So don't feel good about him. Feel very good about the Athletics. They have JP Sears going up against the Rangers, who put up 8 runs yesterday. They have a 192 ISO, and he's not really somebody I'm very afraid of. So both these offenses, once again, look good. I think the only issue would be, especially considering the state of this slate, is that they could be a little bit owned.
Yeah, but again, like the Rangers are wildly cheap. Marcus Semien is $3K flat. Jake Berger's under $3K.
His price went
Adolis
down.
Garcia is $4K. Like
Why,
Josh
why
Young
did
is
he?
3,400. If
Why did
Seager's
he
in
get
there, he's
cheaper? He
changed.
just
I
put up
assume
like
he won't
30.
be.
He just put up like 30 points.
I mean, it's one day after he did that, so I'm sure the prices were out already. But
Just
they
saying.
shouldn't be that cheap anyway. So
Yeah.
it's the top stack on the slate. I think it's going to be more popular than it was last night, but Sears is a fly ball pitcher. Will go up some power, especially from the right side. The Rangers have a lot of that. So even without Seager, I think it's an awesome stack, and I will be right back on it tonight. I do think Sears and Rock are okay tournament plays, assuming the stacks are owned in this game. Like you can get leverage on the field that way with the bats being more popular. So slightly prefer Sears. It's another one where I think playing both sides is okay. And then I'm not super on Oakland or whoever, the A's overall.
Sacramento.
Just kind of, I think Rocker's talent is he kind of come a little bit in this game, you said. So A's are fine, but if they're chalk, I'm not super excited. I think Texas is the way side.
Well, the reason why I'm excited about the Athletics is because I don't think they will be chalk. So I think obviously of the Dodgers and the Cubs there, namely Dodgers probably. You have the Twins, who I know you don't like them, but they are popping with the highest implied run total of the slate. You got the Royals, who project well, the Angels, the Diamondbacks have a high implied run total, and then of course you have the Rangers, who after succeeding last night, they're going to garner some ownership. So I think just by default, the Athletics kind of drop in ownership here. Like the usual suspects, like Rooker will be like owned, but then the rest of the guys might not be. So if that is the case and we can project them as kind of an overlooked stack in a pretty good spot here, I think that my interest even, grows even more. All right, let's wrap things up with our strategy on the slate, and actually not the strategy, but our top pitcher and stack.
Yeah, I'm going to play a lot of Peralta with Webb and then stack Texas. I think that's going to be the chalky build, but I think it's kind of the correct one. So ownership be damned. You can leverage with your secondary stack with the Angels or Toronto, Colorado, perhaps, something like that. If you want to pay down a little bit, I think Erod would be on the radar, and then Lorenzen if you want to pay all the way down. So like Texas is, again, clearly the top stack on the slate for me on DraftKings, and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Rangers at all. I just think all those things, all those stacks there that do look good are going to kind of dilute ownership a little bit, and the Athletics might go overlooked. And I'm going to be on the Athletics. As far as pitching goes, I think we're pretty aligned there. Webb, Peralta, Erod, those are the guys that look the best. You can sprinkle in Festa a little bit. If I had to pick one pitcher to build around, it's going to be Freddie Peralta. But I do think with the Webb thing at that ownership, and that's the main reason why I think I would go to Freddie a little bit more, I still get a sprinkling of the Brewers just because 50% is crazy. All right, that does it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and visit our Patreon. We have right now $5.99 to get everything we have to offer in Patreon, as well as access to our Discord. So be sure to take advantage of that. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck.